Oh, hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Hey, if you liked the video, click that like button and click subscribe so that you'll get notifications whenever we post new content. Appreciate you watching. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone. Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Got a video here today I'm going to do. It's one of the older SKS's that had been changed over to have some pretty nice furniture on it. I'm not a big fan of the folding stock because it's one of the post band, of course, and it'll lock closed, but they don't lock open. But the issue with this one is it's grimy. I don't think it was ever really cleaned up the Cosmoline off of it. I haven't got completely into it just yet, but we're about to. And from where I'm sitting, it's pretty dirty inside. Clean it up and check the bore on it and stuff like that. So I'm going to real quick go through a video of showing you some stuff and what I do to clean it up, and we'll get on with our day. Alright, so I didn't put you through the 5 or 6 minutes or so that it took to take the gun apart. But what I wanted more importantly to show you is a lot of weapons when they come into this country, especially comm block weapons, they had been stored for decades, okay? And when they put these guns up, they didn't just throw a little rim oil on them and set them in a gun safe. These guns were meant to be stored in an armory in racks or in crates, and they were meant to be stored long term because they were weapons that were designed to fight a war, and they were put up to be there when they needed them but not have to worry about them until they needed them, so minimum manpower could be used to maintain your arsenal. So what they did is, as you'll see pretty good on this bolt, they caked these things in a preservative called Cosmoline. Okay, and this one's got, somebody got real happy when this one got preserved because it is absolutely just coated, every bit of it. The trigger assembly, the retainer for the recoil spring, the bolt carrier, all of it's just nasty. The whole barrel to action's covered. I could sit down here with some degreaser and get all this off, but it's going to take me a long time. So what I'm going to do is something that's going to be a little bit quicker, and I think will do a much better job. I've got a sonic cleaner that heats. I'm going to put a little bit of solution in there, some degreaser in it, and fire that thing up and let it run for about an hour or so with these parts in it. I'm going to break them down as far as I can and clean them. Or really, it's an SKS, so really with an SKS you don't even really need to break it down. I mean, that the sonic cleaner will pretty much wipe everything out there as long as you got a pretty good degreaser in it. And I'm going to put some Simple Green in there and run it for about an hour in hot water and let that clean everything. And I think I can even get one end of the barrel to action down in there to where it'll be pretty much all underwater, and get the action rod and the action rod tube and all that down in there as well, because this is bad. This is the worst I've ever seen on one. And somebody actually done work to this gun after it come to the United States, because it come over here with a wooden stock on it, and somebody put this fold up stock. It was post band, so I'm not for sure about the years in that, but I believe it was in the early 90s that they made it to where you could have a folding stock but it couldn't lock. So that stock was put on after that. I don't know the guy that owned it now. I didn't ask him. It may have had a wood stock on it when he got it and he changed it over to that. But it's been changed over since it come over here, and they didn't clean the Cosmoline off of it, and I don't see how the gun fired because it's just caked. I mean, literally, the bolt is just, it's amazing how much of that stuff is on there. I mean, it's just caked on there, but we're going to get it all off. I'll get them all in a sonic cleaner and let that run for about an hour, and then after it does that, then I'll come back and I'll show you the difference and show you how I lube and protect this stuff, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so now I've got my little sonic cleaner here. I've got it set that it's going to be running at 80 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to let it run for 20 minutes. I'm going to put everything down in there. It's amazing how much Cosmoline is on this. It's just crazy. I'll have to part way through the operation move that action rod, turn it around, because it'll almost be underwater, but not quite. I might be able to kind of, yeah, I can finagle it a little bit and get it where it's going to get good and wet. Alright. Now the action tube, it won't quite go in there, so I'll probably just hand clean it. But after all these parts get cleaned, what I'm going to do is I'll take them out, then I'm going to just set the barreled action down in there and let it run and let it heat up. That Cosmoline comes off way easier if you can get it hot, if you can get it warm. I mean, that stuff is, it's crazy. And somebody, like I said, they wanted this one to last in case Hitler came back or something, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty rough shape. So I'll probably have to use some elbow grease on this one, because unfortunately my sonic cleaner is not a big one, so you can't get everything you want to down in it, but it does the job. So I'm going to go ahead and get her started, and we'll be back when this gets done and see how it cleaned them up. Sounds like the biscuits are done. Alright, let's get everything out. Take a look, see how it cleaned up. There was a lot of Cosmoline on that stuff. We're about to find out how well we did, or if we're going to have to do it a little longer. Let's get the action spring out. The recoil spring looks good. Looks good and clean. That water's hot. I don't want to stick my fingers in there. Oh yeah, you know you got it down clean where you can see that area now is bright silver right there, so it's still nice and shiny. That's pretty good. That's pretty, or that's the part that does pass through. Sorry. Anyway, it's clean. See what else. Oh, here's the trigger group. It's interesting always to look at this stuff, because those trigger groups have so many moving parts. See that? Oh yeah, listen. That click. That's the safety. Before, when you move the safety, you couldn't hear nothing, because when it was landing on just pure Cosmoline. Alright, let's get on down in here to the nitty gritty stuff. There's the rear cover. Looks like, oh yeah, that's completely clean. All the Cosmoline's gone off of that. Wow. Done good. 20 minutes was a winner. See what the boat carrier looks like after I dump water all over the place. Boat carrier looks awesome. That thing is like squeaky clean. Yeah, let me get a little paper towel going on here. Kind of stop my mess where I forgot about that little cavity in there and it was full of water. What's next? The recoil spring guide rod. See what it looks like. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nice and clean. You can see that's really, really good and clean. Oh yeah, that's nice. Now let's see what else we got. And the bolt. Dry it off a little bit so we don't have water running everywhere. Oh yeah. Well, let's see. This, listen. That's the firing pin going back and forth. You couldn't hear nothing when I first took it out. It was just completely caked full of Cosmoline. Now everything's moving nice and freely. The ejector feels good. All that's good and clean around there. Awesome. And I got one more little piece in here. Yep, that is the retainer for the recoil spring operation rod. Good and clean. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry everything off with a couple of clean paper towels, and the heat where it was in the water will actually help it dry as well. It'll evaporate the water off of its surfaces, and the pores in the metal will be open just a little bit. And when I apply some CLP to that in just a moment, it'll actually get down in the metal better than it would if it was just cold metal and it wasn't expanded any. Now it's not like it's crazy hot, but just a little bit will open up the pores where oil, it'll benefit more doing it that way. Everything sure looks like it turned out very well. And I've wiped all that stuff down and hardly got anything on the paper towel to this point. And I think most of it just come out of the grooves of that operating rod, to be honest. Alright, bolt. I want to pay particular attention to drying this bolt really well, because there's a lot of little nooks and crannies and crevices that you got to get in. Get all that water off of there. And I'm going to really pound on that paper towel on both ends, make sure there's no water in that channel where the firing pin is. I could have knocked that pin out and cleaned that channel where the firing pin goes, but I don't really see a need in it. That's clean. When that firing pin's going back and forth and making up that much noise, it's fine. It's just fine. Well, I like the way it cleaned up that trigger group. There was a lot of Cosmoline in it, and it got all of it. These little sonic cleaners you wouldn't think would do very well, the small ones, but they do. You know, I mean, I'd love to have one of the big ones that I could just drop a whole barreled action in and not have to take everything apart and just thunk it in there, pull it back out, blow it off with an air gun, let it dry for a little while, and then put some oil on it and be done. But at the moment, that's the one I got to work with, so that's the one we'll work with. Now this old rifle here has fired a lot of rounds. It's got a lot of wear on the hammer. So there's been some rounds put through this gun. 6482. 6482. Just seeing 6482. A lot of times it'll be on the op rod too, but I don't see it. 6482. Looks like it's all matching numbers, and I know I looked at the receiver earlier, and that's the same number it was. Hey, what do you want, man? Sorry, got a cat friend back here standing on the back of the chair behind me. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get some CLP out here on this paper towel. And quite a bit of it. More than I would normally use, but it's because I just water dunked all these parts. And I'm going to wipe everything down with the CLP while the metal is still nice and warm. Alright, that's good. CLP is good stuff. Good stuff. Sta-Bil done the business when they come up with this stuff. I mean, it's really good. It serves all kinds of different purposes when you're working with guns. You know, whether you're just cleaning them or if you need long-term protection, or if you've got a gun that's been not exactly taken care of very well and it's got some rust on it. This stuff will get the rust off and help you do a lot of that stuff as well. It's just really good product. I stand behind that stuff because I've used it for a long time, and it does what it's supposed to do. And it don't take a lot of it. I mean, you can clean probably 3 guns with how much I just put on that rag. All right, get the old op rod here. And guide rod for the recoil spring. And the recoil spring. Alright, now that's got everything greased back up, oiled up, so we're protected from rust, and we've got all that old Cosmoline off of there, and it's a different feeling gun, and it ain't even put back together. It's got a better feel to it. You know, it's not all sticky and everything. It feels like good metal, you know. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, put everything back together, because while I was waiting on this to get done with its cycle, I went ahead and cleaned the barrel to action, wiped it all out, cleaned all that Cosmoline out of it, put some CLP in there to break all that stuff out and got it out, cleaned the gas tube and got it ready to go back in. So now we'll go ahead and get everything back ready to go, and then once we get it all put back together, then I'll show you the finished product. I won't put you through watching me put all this stuff back together. Hey y'all, there is one thing I wanted to show you of the part about putting this together. Now if you take this recoil spring and the guide rod for it apart, people will tell you it's a struggle. No, it's not. There's a trick. Take your operating rod, stick up in the back end of the guide rod for the recoil spring. Now it holds that second piece from moving. Then it's not a problem. Slide it right back. Put that back on and you're done. So you got to think about this stuff, that when they made these, you know they wasn't going to make something that if you had to break it down in the field and clean it and get dirt and mud out of that you was going to go through what you just went through. So if you tried to put it together without doing that, that's the trick. Just wanted y'all to see that. Alright y'all, there she is. All lubed up. Cosmoline's all gone. Cleaned up. Ready to go. He has a detachable magazine. The owner has a detachable magazine he's going to put on it. Took off the little 10 round base plate. I hope he gets it to run, because I've never been able to find one for SKS that would actually function properly, but maybe his will. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I enjoyed doing it for you. Hey y'all, appreciate you watching this video. Hope to see you in the next one. This is Fat Man. I'm gone.